Hello and welcome to your weekly Vedic forecast for the week beginning the 19th of February 2016, taking you all the way up and through the 25th of February 2016, a week where we have a full moon in Purva Phalguni Nakshatra. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Been a little bit quiet on this end, been really busy with a lot of admin and family stuff and just a lot of things going on. So I've been a little bit quiet on the video end, but you can look for another major video sometime this week. Watch my Facebook page because we will likely do a vote on what everybody would like to see this week. So let's talk about the week ahead with the astrology that's there, because after all, that's why we're here, isn't it? Okay. So doubt. Let's talk about doubt. Let's talk about wanting to take a move forward, wanting to expand, wanting to really shift things. But having this nagging sense of doubt inside of yourself, and you just don't feel certain, and all the pieces of a puzzle are just not really coming together. Well, we still have this connection between Rahu and Jupiter that's responsible for that. It's beginning to weaken because they're not in the same 3-degree and 20-minute section of the sky as they were before, but it's still very prevalent. And since it is kind of lightning, the doubt's beginning to lift a little bit this week. And you can tell a lot about a week in astrology by a planet that is involved in the most aspects. And when I'm saying aspects, I'm talking about Vedic aspects here, in case you were wondering. And Jupiter is so deeply involved in several different aspects. So it's, it's very, very powerful. It's a lot of it is about expansion, growth. And because Jupiter is in Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra, and Uttara Phalguni energy really likes to put its energy behind something. It likes to have a cause, something that it can champion. But for it to do that, it wants to feel confident, right? And Uttara Phalguni is very reliant on the strength of the sun. And the sun has not been in the best position in order to lend its strength to Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra. So there's been a lot of I want to say unsurety, but probably the proper grammatic word is doubt. But who cares? I'll make up my own language. Doesn't really matter. There's been a lot of doubt in relation to that, not really knowing if you can fully trust something. And since you can't really trust something, it's hard to put your full weight behind it. Well, over the course of the week, because of Mercury and Venus traveling together through the sky right now, and because of the nakshatras, they're going to be transiting over the course of the week, well, things begin to become a little bit clearer. Let's analyze this. Let's see why that would be the case. Okay, so Mercury gives us our sense of discrimination, our ability to differentiate, right? The ability, when it's functioning well, to use our mind, our intellectual, rational mind, in a positive way so that it's serving spirit, rather than in an egocentric way that is likely going to get things all wrong. So when Mercury is working well, it gives an excellent sense of judgment and perspective. More on that here in a moment. Venus. If we look at the royal court of planets, and there actually is one in Brihat Parashara Horashastra, Venus is the minister, but Venus is the minister as it pertains to worldly affairs. It's there to offer advice in terms of worldly affairs. Well, both of those planets are going to be transiting first through Shravana Nakshatra and then moving into Dhanishta Nakshatra. Shravana, on many levels, is about being able to see with more than just our eyes and hear with more than just our ears, and really be able to pick up on things that are beneath the surface that we might otherwise miss. Dhanishta just, when it's functioning positively, just naturally moves with the energy that's flowing through it. Dhanishta is about connecting, and this may sound odd to you, but I'll explain here in a moment, about connecting the musician with the music. So think of this play that we're experiencing here on Earth. That's the music. Think of the higher force that's responsible for that music. That's the musician. So the idea with Dhanishta is when we're in the flow, then prosperity just naturally comes to us. When we think that we're controlling the flow and trying to draw attention to ourselves for our actions and the things that we do, well, usually we end up being a bumbling idiot in relation to something. But you don't need to worry about that side of it quite as much, because both Venus and Mercury are going to be supported in both of those nakshatras. So what does this mean? What's the nuts and bolts of it? Well, you'll likely be able to see things from a very balanced perspective. A very balanced perspective, almost as if you know something. And it's going to feel natural for you to take practical steps that are based on that particular action. One of the things that's really helping with this is both Mercury and Venus are also forming, at the same time they're forming an aspect to Jupiter, they're equally forming an aspect to Saturn. And Saturn is in Jyeshta, which is Mercury's nakshatra. Jyeshta will offer that higher perspective, that ability to see things from a greater vantage point so that you're able to really, truly understand something. Mixed in with that, we've got Saturn also forming an aspect to Jupiter. So structured growth that begins to feel a little more confident as the course of the week progresses. Structured growth, one that feels something that feels wise. Mixed in with it, though, we've got the Sun, which is also forming some aspects, an aspect with Jupiter, and it's also separating from an aspect with Saturn. And the Sun is in Shatabishak nakshatra. And with Shatabishak, many times things are confusing. We get pulled into well, here's the analogy. It's like that scenario of getting lost in the woods with the fairies, right? But while you're getting lost in the woods with the fairies, eventually you kind of discover something. And that something is very revelatory. It reveals something that's, very deep and profound to you. Right? So the Sun in Shatabishak nakshatra is going to start by bringing a lot of confusion your way, and you're going to likely want to try to pick and sort through all the information that's there, and it requires a lot of analysis on your part so that you can really discern discreetly what it is that you're picking up on, and you may get it wrong a few times, right? Focus on that mercurial energy that's going beyond what it thinks that it knows into the heart of what it actually knows, what it's absolutely sure of, that is growing in certainty over the course of the week. Now, mixed in with this, we've got the moon over the course of the week traveling from Punarvasu nakshatra until at the end of the week it's in Hasta nakshatra. Punarvasu, in what you can do a lot of times with the moon's journey is understand what the energy pertains to over the course of the week, because Punarvasu is about providing the ground for something to come together and to gain in strength. That something is a growing sense of certainty that helps to alleviate the doubt that was lingering in the background. Hasta relates to what you begin, and I want to stress begin, to do with that particular information. So the moon, as it makes this journey over the course of the week, on the 22nd, is going to be full in Purva Phalguni nakshatra. And let's talk a little bit about Purva Phalguni nakshatra. It's symbolized by, on many levels, a platform. That's one of the things that's symbolized. There's a lot of different symbols for Purva Phalguni. But one of the things that's symbolized is a platform. And that platform, in terms of symbolism, used to be used by teachers to share information with their students. And the students would all gather around in a circle. It was almost like a place of rest. Here's good symbolism for it. A place of rest for information to come together. A pause in the journey that you're on so that you can gather information together so that you can then with the energy of Uttara Phalguni, feel confident with the direction that you're taking, with the shift that you're trying to create in your life. Because Uttara Phalguni, going back to Jupiter and its separation over the months with Rahu, is Uttara Phalguni is a moksha-driven nakshatra. So that means it wants to change something. It wants to create a shift. And in order to create that shift, it has to feel fully behind something. Well, over the course of this week, you begin to gain some momentum in that direction. You begin to gain some strength in that direction. You begin to see something beneath the surface, something that makes you feel comfortable with acting, something that actually makes you respect the fact that you waited for a vital piece of the information to come to you. Now, along with the full moon that's on the 22nd in Purva Phalguni. So yes, that energy does give you the chance to bring some, to kind of pause and gather wisdom and take a look at what you have learned over the course of the previous week. But equally, the moon, when it's full, even though it's a full moon, it's because of the position that it's in, it's lacking a lot of productive strength, which is going to shift once you get into the 23rd or later on in the day on the 22nd. But at the time of its exact fullness, which in terms of my clock here in the UK is going to be about 20 past 6 p.m., roughly on the 22nd, and you can go to timeanddate.com to look for that in your particular time zone. But at that time, the moon is going to, even though the energy will be there with it, it's not going to have the productive strength that it might otherwise be able to have at its disposal in order to really make things happen. So not feeling full confidence at first on that day, but later on in the day on the 23rd, things begin to shift. So this full moon marks a shift where you begin to have that level of confidence that you need, where you don't doubt quite as much, but you begin to feel much certain, much more certain, I should say, where you actually begin to respect the journey that has made you doubt a lot of things that you've been having happen in your life, and a lot of the experiences that have been going on, and a lot of the things, and yes, even the people that have been in your life, and you're really doing a lot of re-examination lately. Well, a change is on its way, and the strength is beginning to gather, and the momentum is beginning to move you in another direction, and all right in time for an eclipse that happens next month. We'll be talking about that over the course of the coming weeks. Just a reminder, if you would like to schedule a consultation with me, there should be a link right down there, and that will take you to my astrological services page where you can schedule the astrological service of your choice. That's going to do it for a look at the week ahead through Vedic astrology for the week of the 19th to the 25th of February 2016. Until the next video, which should be over the next few days, please take the very best care of yourself. Bye now.